Hello, good morning, all. I welcome you to the yet another series of the students webinar and the trainings webinar that we are doing from WIRC and Vikasa. Today we've got a very interesting session lined up. It's in on auditing aspects of auditing under this entire scenario of COVID-19. How would you go around and audit various aspects of a company or any other entity? In what manner would you take the evidences? In what manner would you take documentation? And we've got a fantastic speaker from PwC, Hirak Bhai. I would first request Vishal Doshi, the Vice Chairman of WIRC, to please share his opening remarks for this session. Vishal Bhai comes from a very strong auditing background, and he's the perfect person to guide you all on these matters in the future under COVID-19. Sir.
Thank you, Arpit. Good morning, CA Hirak Patwa, my colleague Manish Bhai, Arpit, to all my students. At the outset, students, I would like to congratulate you all for witnessing and being part of an environment that, no study material, no teacher, no principal will ever teach you. These are challenging times. While some get bogged down and say, I cannot do audit from home, there would be others who would seize this opportunity and say that, let me see how can I do audit from home. So like I said, that while the challenges are great, so are the opportunities. The primary question today is, how to do audit without access to documents of clients. Like Arpit said, that I also have an audit background, and to be very honest, we have got access to data of the clients. They have given SAP access through VPN, but then the primary question is, how do you get access, or how do you audit without access to the primary documents that we have all read in our audit manual, and it's a very important part of the whole audit process. Well, there are always going to be challenges, and I say even one more challenge that we face. I would share my personal view, personal experience on the is with respect to inventory verification that was to be held on 31st of March at many of our clients' locations. Because of lockdown, we couldn't move out of our homes, and then the question was that how do you do the inventory verification, or how do you certify as an auditor that the inventory as at 31st March was proper or not? So there are ways and means which I definitely leave to Hirak Bhai. But one thought that came, in this world of technology, that the clients who are working, those who were coming under essential services and they were working in their factories or their godowns or warehouses, and they were in a position to do a verification by themselves without the presence of auditors. And then a thought came, whether we can do a video recording of the whole inventory verification, and whether that can act as a documentation with proper controls that the recording was done and the verification, and you are able to actually visualize the inventories that are getting verified, that are being counted. Or once the lockdown opens, you do a physical verification immediately and do a backtracking of all the transaction, prepare a reconciliation and derive the inventory, physical inventory that was there as on 31st of March, and match that with the book records with that reconciliation. So these are all the questions that are coming up, and like I said, that even I have never been experienced or exposed to such situations, and this would definitely bring a lot of thought process, a lot of creativity, without compromising on the quality of the audit, which is very important for us. So with these opening remarks, I would say that we have an excellent, knowledgeable speaker, CA Hirak Patwa, and I would experience in the sense, because from a background of Big Four, definitely we all know that they are very, very, I would say, prudent as far as documentation and the processes are concerned. And I don't think that we could have had a better speaker on this in the current environment to guide us through what is required to be done under the audit processes. So I thank Hirak Bhai for spending some time with us for the students. And thank you everybody. Wish you all the best and a happy learning. Thanks, Arpit. Over back to you.
Thank you, Vishal Bhai. Indeed, as you said, no one would have ever thought about this scenario, and it's good that we're exploring this, and that is what makes a good chartered accountant who keeps on exploring and thinks out of the box in these times. I'll request my colleague Manish Bhai, Manish Gadia sir, to please formally introduce the speaker, and then we go on with the session next.
Good morning to all the students. CA Hirak Patwa is a director in PwC. He is a certified Ind AS and IFRS from ICI. He has experience of 12 years in providing services to several large Indian companies and multinational clients. He has experience in auditing and accounting under IFRS and Indian GAAP. And he has experience encompasses a broad range of industries, including electricity, chemical, consumer goods, cement, etc., etc. So, with this few words, I present before you Hirak Bhai. Over to you, Hirak Bhai.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Manish bhai. Hirak bhai, please go ahead with the session. And any assistance do you want, do let us know. We are all around.
Sure, sure, sure. So thank you, Arpit bhai, Vishal bhai, Manish bhai, for giving me this opportunity to be here on webinar and conducting the session on auditing in COVID-19, which is most challenging item that we have ever seen. We all have ever seen in our lifetime. So hopefully my screen is visible. So you're able to see the screen. It's clear presentation.
Yes, yes, Hirak
Yes,
bhai.
yes, yes, Hirak bhai.
Yeah. Just minimize the. Yeah. So I have broadly divided the session into four parts. So to start with, we'll have some overview on what is the situation currently. We'll just go back and relook at some of the standards on auditing. We'll also see what could be the internal control consideration, and then we'll have conclusion over it. So these are the four broad aspects that we'll be covering in this session. Let's start with overview. So as you all know, COVID-19 is impacting a lot in our daily life, starting from basic like health and safety, business operations. It also impacting economic sustainability of the company. It has hampered the financial reporting framework also. Due to this only, lot of institutions has to change their timeline for reporting. And last but not the least, it is also impacting on auditing. That's what we all do. So it has a pervasive impact on all the aspects that we do in our life. Just to give you a background, so global pandemic COVID-19 has already shown a significant impact on global trade and economy. It has consequential impact on Indian financial market as well. There is highly uncertainty arises because of lockdown. It has also impacted on in disruption of the supply chain. There would be unavailability of sufficient personnel to do the businesses. We have seen the closure of offices and facilities. We'll also see the decline in overall demand from consumer side. There would be liquidity crisis, and there would be question on business continuity. So ultimately it has impact on accounting, disclosure, internal control, and auditing as well. ICI has already issued a detailed guidance on it, which covers accounting as well as auditing part of it. So in my presentation, I have captured a couple of ICI guidance as well on the COVID-19. These underlying situation, however, must not undermine the delivery of high quality audits. We all needs to be sure that we'll deliver high quality audits. There is not a single demarcation or a let go from any of the regulator that, let's say, if we'll not perform inventory count, it would be okay. So there are no deviations in any of our audit procedures that we are supposed to perform if this was not there. So as an auditor, we must carefully evaluate these unique circumstances prevailing in audit, reassess our audit risk, and accordingly apply the proper audit procedures in our audit. So now let's see what are the auditing standards that's got impacted under COVID-19. To start with, as you are seeing on the screen, these are the COVID-19 is impacting on some of the basic auditing standard like SA 315 in understanding the entity, SA 320, which is materiality and planning and performing audit. It is also impacting on SA 501, which is specific for inventory physical verification. It is also impacting on SA 505, external confirmations. It has impact on subsequent events, how we report, what we need to report on subsequent event. If some clients which has a December year end and audits not yet finalized, there also we need to see subsequent events. It has a reporting implication from a going concern perspective, because there we will see a lot of liquidity crisis as well in the audit. It has impact on our audit evidences, how we obtain our audit evidences, and also obtaining management representation letters in our audit. So apart from this basic standard, COVID-19 has also impact on reporting standards. So these reporting standards, as you know, it's SA 700, which is a forming an audit opinion, 705 and 6 for qualification or an EOM. It do have an impact on SA 720, which is in relation to other informations, SA 701 in relation to key audit matters, and most important is it has a big impact on auditing accounting estimates, including fair value under SA 540. So this is a broad overview on what are the standards on auditing which are getting impacted due to COVID-19. Now we'll run through one by one standards on auditing. So to start with, we'll have SA 315, which is a standard on understanding the entity and its environment and identifying and assessing risk of material misstatement. So as you are aware of, SA 315 provides the basis of designing and implementing the responses to address the risk of material misstatement. So under COVID-19, a lot of things got impacted. It also impacted on clients and entities which operates in multiple geographies. It though maybe your client may not be got impacted, but it may be possible that they are getting supplies from various countries which got impacted due to COVID-19. So it has an impact. We need to evaluate the impact on vendors, bankers, suppliers, or service provider in geographies that were exposed. So potentially it has an exposure to broader economic downturn, and it has and there would be decline in financial market as well. So while we do an understanding of the client under SA 315, we need to go and recheck our risk assessment, which will which will guide us in understanding the entity and implication of COVID-19 on its overall business. What are the geographies that the company is entering, doing the business of? What could be the implication? That is what we need to perform an understanding of. So let's now look into what are the additional risks that may arise under COVID-19 situation. So while we performing understanding under 315, we'll also need to check what could be the additional risk due to drop in demand. There may be reduction in the consumer base. It is possible that there will be reduction in the supply chain. Employees absence from work, that is also having an implication other than geographical implication. Public lockdown do have an implication. There would be contractual non-compliances also have an implication on the business of the company. It may be possible that there are some clients of our customers where the company has to deliver the goods. It may be in India, outside India, and that geography may not be impacted much. So in that circumstances, the customer can provide liquidated damages to the company. So that is what we need to go and assess on overall impact. companies will face liquidity and working capital challenges. As you have seen, a lot of companies are relooking at their working capital cycle. Banks has already given additional moratorium in making the repayment to their term loan or any other facilities that the company has obtained. So under that scenario, we need to go and check whether the liquidity condition of the company is proper or not. There may be impact on asset valuation, because there would be a downward asset valuation and which trigger the legal compliances or other liquidity related challenges. So what as an auditor we need to do? So once we'll identify what is the risk in our client, what could be the probable risk in our client, after doing a proper understanding, we need to discuss with those charged with governance as well as management whether they have incorporated this risk in their overall risk assessment process, how they have identified and assessed the significance of this emerging business risk, because this situation they also may not have seen in their lives. The auditor should consider if any disclosure required in the financial statement on key assumptions made in reaching out this conclusion. So while auditor perform this risk assessment and identify that there would be additional risk noted, we as an auditor need to relook at our materiality that we use for performing our audit. So materiality will also be relooked and reassessed while we perform our audit under COVID-19. Obviously, we cannot use the same materiality or which were used last year. uh, we may need to evaluate certain other options like average profit of last 3 to 5 years, or alternative benchmark like total asset size of the company while we determine materiality for our audit. Let's go to next. uh, Now we'll look into auditing accounting estimates. So auditing accounting estimate is one of the most important aspect from an auditor's perspective. SA 540 deals with the auditor's responsibilities regarding accounting estimates. This includes fair value of accounting estimates and related disclosures into the financial statement. So due to COVID-19, the most significant impact is on projected cash flows. So till last year, maybe we are okay with the projected cash flows given by the management, and we are continue to you not do any impairment or continue to opine on no issues on going concern. However, in current year, this projected cash flows we need to analyze to see any impact due to COVID-19. Examples of significant accounting estimates which are made by the management includes impairment of goodwill or property, plant and equipment. There may be asset valuation or impairment of receivables under expected credit loss model. We'll also need to look into valuation of defined benefit plans and obligations. It may be possible that due to significant change in employee strength or devaluation of underlying plan assets, because COVID-19 has impact on stock market as well. So if the plan defined benefit plan has some additional investment into the market, there may be devaluation of those plans. That estimates also involved in compensated stock compensation, which is employee stock options. There may be impact on contractual penalties. So we need to relook into penalties or how the estimates made by the company in arriving at the amount. Employment termination benefits also required to be relooked. Insurance recoveries related to business interruption. So if the company already have some kind of insurance policies to under these circumstances, they need to relook at the claims. Onerous contract provisions, what are the estimates made in onerous contract provision, we need to relook under COVID-19 circumstances. And last but not the least, allowance for expected credit loss for accounts receivables. So these are the broad estimates that are used by the client or by the management, and we as an auditor need to relook all the estimates to consider the impact under COVID-19. So what is the auditor's responsibility under 540? So as an auditor, we need to go and check whether the accounting estimates used by the management, there is a if they're applied by the management, properly applied into the financial statement, have they made proper disclosures in the financial statement, and those are reasonable or not. So we need to see reasonableness of this reasonableness and adequacy of disclosures for accounting estimates. In this challenging time, there would be definitely effect of estimation uncertainty. So under COVID-19, we need to go and ask the management whether additional disclosure required under COVID-19 for to mitigate this or to disclose to our stakeholders and shareholders if what could go wrong under these difficult times. So this is broad aspect on accounting estimates. Now I'll move to specific consideration for selected items. So auditor needs to obtain sufficient appropriate evidences in accordance with SA 330, SA 501 and other SAs with respect to certain aspects of existence or condition of the inventory, completeness of litigation claims involving the entity, obtaining bank internal external bank confirmations, balance confirmations, not only bank but also receivables payables confirmations, using of work of expert where there are circumstances where you require to involve experts for estimating cash flow projections. So for most important is physical inventory count. So due to government imposed shutdowns and due to unavailability of the client personnel, it may not be practicable for all the businesses to conduct the physical count as at 31st March. So what as an auditor we need to do? First, we need to go and check, have we verified the count during the year? Have we performed the count, let's say December as a period end or any other quarters or not? If not, then we need to agree to the management to identify another count date. Let's say a post lockdown management may determine the another count date, maybe 15th of May or 30th of May. So in that circumstances, we need to perform the count on that date. Also perform rollback procedures to arrive at the inventory balance as at 31st March 2020. So auditing standards also provide some guidance where we can, if there is an impractical situation and we are not in a position to perform the count, it gives some alternative procedures in exceptional circumstances. So in that case, we can also relook into subsequent sale of specific inventory item acquired or purchased prior to physical inventory counting. And this subsequent transaction give us some level of comfort for physical inventory. So under this, a lot of facts that we need to observe, whether inventory is considered as heightened risk of fraud or not, what would be the quantum of physical inventory, what is our past experience for physical inventory count, have we identified a lot of differences in the earlier years that we have performed. So all aspects that we need to relook into for physical inventory count and then apply those in our audit procedures for the current year. We all understand that 31st March stock count would be very difficult, and it's only essential commodity items or clients which are under essential goods in nature. They would be in a position to perform the count as at 31st March. They may have performed the count. However, we need to go and check their count papers, what are the instructions circulated for the count, and identify and assess whether the inventory gives whether we would be in a position to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidences or not for the inventory. In relation to external confirmations, so we as an auditor, it's a challenging circumstances where there would be external confirmations from various third parties, or we will receive the scan confirmation through banks on our email IDs. So under that circumstances, we need to perform additional procedures so as to assess whether the confirmations that were received are from reliable source or not. We need to assess the authenticity of the confirmations if these were received by way of an email. Next is using the work of another auditor in the consolidated financial statements. So SA 600 deals with the situation where we as a principal auditor get the reporting from the other auditor, which is who is auditing the subsidiary of the or the component of the auditor. Paragraph 49 of the guidance note on the consolidated financial statement also requires us to consider SA 600 where the parent is not the auditor of all the components. So under that scenario, what the principal auditor we need to do? As a principal auditor, we need to understand what is the condition of the component auditor or other auditor. We need to provide or understand how they have performed an understanding of the business, how they have done the risk assessment under the challenging time of COVID-19. We also need to consider what could be the travel bans, temporary suspension of the business operations of the component, government mandatory leaves of the component, and many other risk assessment and materiality. We also need to go and check the entities that if the other auditor is able to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidences in this challenging time. If as a principal auditor I am concluding that the component auditor or the other auditor is not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, as a principal auditor I can express a qualified or disclaimer of opinion because of limitation of the scope. Under this challenging time, alternative methods can be performed, which include as a principal auditor, we can go and though we can't travel and check the workings of the component auditor. However, we can have a look on the cloud-based portal. What are the workings that or schedules that the component auditor, other auditors has prepared. We can also have a look of the video call or screen sharing software can be used. As a principal auditor, detailed questionnaire can also be shared, which provides additional guidance or which provides for the clarity on what work that the auditor has performed. We can also obviously take leverage from prior years or audit work. What are the audit observations in the component auditor's report. So by performing all these procedures, we can have sufficient appropriate audit evidences for the components as well. However, each situation or each individual engagement would be different, and it is to be assessed on case by case basis to determine what could be the appropriate method while we rely on the work of the component auditor. Next is on subsequent events. So SA 560 deals with the auditor's responsibilities relating to subsequent events. So under the subsequent event, we need to take into account the risk assessment in determining nature and extent of the audit procedure. So subsequent event normally includes the procedures like obtaining an understanding of the procedures that management has established for subsequent event. We'll go and perform inquiry with the management as well as those charged with governance to assess whether any subsequent event have occurred which might affect the financial statements or not. We go and read the minutes of the meeting of the company to identify any notings that they have made which could impact the financial statements which we are signing off. We can read the latest published interim financial statements as well. So ultimately the objective of the subsequent event is to determine event should be appropriately reflected into the financial statements. So in case of a subsequent event, as we all know, it is divided into two parts: adjusting event and non-adjusting event. In case of adjusting event, those adjusting event are those which requires adjustment into the financial statement, and non-adjusting are those that require only disclosures subject to significance of the matter. So in certain cases, to identify adjusting event or non-adjusting require management judgment. However, adjustment to the assets and liabilities may not be appropriate for the events or conditions after the balance sheet date. So Under these circumstances, we need to go and check whether as at 31st March those event exist or not. If those event exist, then we need to consider that as an existing event, and consider necessary effect into the financial statement. What is number recognized into the financial statement or reported? If it is not, those conditions are not existing as the balance sheet date, then those can be provided. Management should provide proper disclosure of those events, and and accordingly reported to stakeholders. However, under COVID-19 circumstances, there would be significant uncertainties, like on the recoverability of the amounts from the customers. That would be a significant uncertainty till we sign off the financial statement. So in those circumstances, those uncertainty should be disclosed by way of a detailed note into the financial statement, and management needs to disclose how they have dealt with the impact of COVID-19 on the financial position and financial performance of the company. So that detailed disclosure under COVID-19 is required to comply with the standard on subsequent event. Next is on written representations. So SA 580 deals with the auditor's responsibility on written representation from the management wherever appropriate, and those charged with governance. As an auditor, we need to assess whether any specific representation required under COVID-19 scenario. So there are some circumstances where there are issues of impairment, and under COVID-19, the it may be possible that the company to take the impairment charge into their financial statement due to drop in the overall demand of the product. So under that circumstances, as an auditor, we need to obtain specific representation from the management on the COVID-19 impact on overall business, and specific line items such as impairment, change in the cash flow for projections, or if there are issues of going concern into the client. Now, next is going concern. So under COVID-19 circumstances, this is the most important auditing standard that we need to look. So SA 570, which is revised recently, this deals with the auditor's responsibility in audit of financial statement related to going concern. So there could be several situation which arises from the outbreak of COVID-19. This has an impact on assumption of going concern. Some entities, it may be having severe implication, and management do not have a choice but to liquidate or cease their operations. There could be some entities which may have to scale down their operations in some of the territories, while the impact may or may not be significant for those entities. So COVID-19 is resulting into significant operational disruption and present an existential threat for many businesses. Entities and audit team need to consider the impact of COVID-19 on the going concern, viability of the financial report, and whether there are any circumstances that will result into prolonged operational disruption of the entity. We need to go and see whether there would be any operational disruption happening due to COVID-19 for the client. So what under this scenario as an auditor need to do? We first need to go to management and ask them to perform a detailed projected cash flow forecast. This will require regular update as well till the time we finalize the financial statement. So this forecast will help us in understanding the management's plan to run their business in near future. Management should also consider the impact of COVID-19 on its customers, suppliers, and employees as well. These all implications should be considered in preparing detailed cash flow projected forecast. So once we'll have the cash flow forecast from the management, as an auditor, we can look into it. We can perform inquiry with the management, those charged with governance, in understanding how they are looking the future, what are the things that they have captured in assessing the cash flow projections, what are the items were determined, or whether they have considered everything in this assessment or not. So this should also include a detailed, robust review of forecast cash flows. We also need to perform some level of sensitivity and review of COVID-19 contingency plan as well. So let's say, for an example, the lockdown started from 22nd of March. We need to go and check whether the company has sufficient cash even to pay to their employees, whether they are in a position to pay off the salaries of the employees or not. And under that circumstances, what about the entity's ability to pay off their fixed cost to their employees or not, fixed cost expenses to run the business, whether they are in a position to pay, whether they have sufficient liquidity into their financial statements or not. That all we can look to assess the liquidity position of the company. So under these uncertain circumstances, we need to critically consider the current position at the point of sign off. So remember friends, this assessment required not only during this period, but till the time we sign off the financial statement and it is issued to the shareholders. Till that time, this assessment required to be relooked into, because the situation changes or day by day we are facing new challenges. So likewise, management need to revisit their projections, and till the time we issue our audit opinion for the shareholder, we need to look into these conditions. And if we feel that under these circumstances there are challenges that the management will face, then in those circumstances, those circumstances may result into material uncertainty on going concern. So our audit report should disclose this fact. Since last year, SA 700 was implemented, and hence there would be a categorically separate paragraph on going concern, which states that as an auditor, we need to confirm whether you see any challenges for entity to continue as a going concern or not. So as an auditor, it is our great responsibility to relook at the risk of going concern of the company. And this is one of the most important in this challenging time of COVID-19. Now let's look into some of the reporting implications. So reporting implications are covered by way of 4 different standards. We look into SA 700, which is the base standard. Apart from that, we need to relook into any modification to our audit opinion, which is covered under SA 705. Going concern, as we have discussed, it is under SF 570. Inclusion of key audit matter under 701, and addition of emphasis of matter paragraph under 706. So as an auditor, if we are performing audit procedures, we need to go and check whether the accounting is appropriate or not. If accounting is not appropriate, management has not made proper disclosure of COVID-19 implication on their financial statement. Under that circumstances, it is our reporting responsibility to modify our conclusion on our audit opinion under SA 705. We may issue qualified or adverse opinion as appropriate into the circumstances of the client. It also depends on materiality and pervasive impact due to disagreement with the management, which is material to the financial statement. As an auditor, we also need to see whether we are in a position to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidences or not. Like for an example, under COVID-19 situation, we may not get the bank confirmations. So we need to go and relook at our risk assessment, whether as an auditor, am I okay without having bank confirmation on my hand? It would not be considered as sufficient appropriate audit evidences. So under these circumstances, if I am signing off any accounts without obtaining bank confirmation, it may be considered as non-compliance for audit evidences. So as an auditor, we need to make sure that under this challenging time as well, we should be able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidences. If we are not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidences in any of the financial statement line item, we cannot say that financial statement is free from material misstatement, and under that circumstances we need to qualify our opinion or provide disclaimer in these circumstances as well. As we have discussed few slides back, in COVID-19 circumstances, it may be possible that we face some doubts on entity's ability to continue as a going concern. So under those scenarios, our report to be modified to that extent, considering the impact of going concern into the financial statement, what are the uncertainty exist or not. And this is in relation to going concern. Now let's look into the key audit matter under 701. So due to COVID-19, as an auditor, if I need to perform additional procedures which are such a significant to our attention to the audit, we can consider that as a key audit matter under such scenarios. It may be possible that we can consider COVID-19 as a significant matter, or we can consider significant management judgment on some such items like impairment of financial or non-financial asset, fair values, or revenue recognition as a key audit matter. So under that scenario, we can relook into our overall assessment on key audit matter, whether we are supposed to report COVID-19 situation as a key audit matter or not. If we are reporting COVID-19 as a key audit matter, we also need to see that how it is addressed by us in our audit opinion. So like what we present for other key audit matter, what could be our audit approach, how we have assessed or how we have verified the issues identified under COVID-19, what are the management controls that we have looked into, and provide our conclusions to those key audit matters. So in nutshell, if I'll see, the reporting implication is very vast for under COVID-19, whether to start with any disclosures required to be made to reassess any cash flow projections that the management has made. If there are significant doubts on entity's ability to continue as a going concern, that also required to be seen. Whether I have obtained sufficient appropriate audit evidences or not, that I need to go and relook into my audit procedures before providing our true and fair opinion. And if there are any issues noted, then obviously it has to be dealt with into the financial statements. Let's now look into the other information which are presented along with the financial statements. So
So,
other information.
Hirak bhai, so before you
Sorry.
could go on this, could
Yeah.
you share some more light on in terms of effective reporting, like what are the particular phrases that we should use, for example, for a stock, or for example for the debtors, because there would be skewed numbers now. There will be a lot of receivables would be maybe high or maybe in a very different manner, so that could be abnormal as a trend. So should we also
Yeah.
disclose this in the audit report and show that as an
So
exceptional item?
so the current scenario is that even if this may or may not be considered as an exceptional item, it depends on the client specific case. However, if we see that based on the past trend, receivable are suddenly shoot up and we are reporting immediately after lockdown clears, then it has to be disclosed by of a detailed note by the management that these are
Okay.
the reasons or COVID-19 implication on the financial statements, and due to
Hmm.
this these are the ratios which are getting impacted. So apart from the audit report, it is to be part of the detailed disclosure into the financial statements.
So
That is
also should
what my
we
perspective.
advise? So also should we advise to make a note of all of this in the director statement? So for example, I have a
Yeah,
huge work in
yeah. So
process, or suppose in a textile company where I usually keep an inventory of say around 10 to 15 days, and I keep on
hmm,
rotating it. So if I'm producing a say a shirt or a garment, so I would
okay,
have a huge stock of this now, which is not
yeah.
moving. But effectively, once the lockdown gets over, probably these goods will start moving very quickly, or maybe if I have to even dispose it off, I'll have to
Yeah.
dispose it off at a very low price. So, what
Okay.
should that disclosure be of around?
So the disclosure could be around a detailed note on it on COVID-19. Maybe you can add some items like what has happened subsequently. If the subsequently the realizable value is lower than what the carrying value is, obviously March 31st inventory balance to be written down, because cost NRV whichever is lower, that concept we need to follow. So to that extent, if we need to consider assess the impact, whether it is to be taken before 31st March or after 31st March, and that disclosure should capture the items or what are the critical items that's got impacted under COVID-19 situation.
Sir, also one scenario.
Yeah.
It's a more of a technical. I don't know if it's the correct question or not, but if you can just throw some light.
Yeah.
Usually in December, so if I have a borrowing, and I usually make sure that I don't go my default doesn't go beyond 90 days. So what I do is, once I've paid my December quarter, or I would have then planned it to pay within 90 days, maybe in say March quarter,
Yeah.
say around 15, 16 March or 21st, 22nd March, last day, so that I'm not an NPA, classified as an NPA. But now,
Yeah.
20th March onwards, we are locked down. So,
Yeah.
there will be a lot of scenarios in which companies would have not been able to make their payments. So, by virtue of that, this could be a different kind of an NPA requirement. I don't know if we will be classified as an NPA or not, but as an auditor, should we disclose that, that 90-day period since we couldn't achieve, and therefore that payment couldn't have been made or something like that?
Yeah, of course, of course. So that disclosure you can capture into the financial statements as well. What could be the reason for non-payment? Maybe company would have adopted a deferred payment for, because our bankers have given some moratorium in making the payments as well. So that
Hmm.
also the required to be disclosed that the company has opted for it, and
Okay.
that's why it is not they have not made the payment for those items.
So, by any chance, would you have made a checklist of certain items that would have been affected under this COVID? Since you mentioned, we could draft a checklist. If you have
Yeah.
something ready and if you can share it for the benefit of all of us here, that would be great, sir.
Sure, sure, sure. So those currently, what is the situation is that if you see India and global, so COVID-19 is not the only Indian scenario. It has impacted all
Hmm.
economies, what I would like to say. So you will get lot of material on COVID-19. So the challenge is
Okay.
that to what extent you would be in a position to use to a particular client and particular situation. So if we'll say UK has also issued a lot of advisory, US like it as a territory, there would be a lot of advisory or the things that as an auditor we need to do, or even from an accounting perspective, how we need to do it. So all territories have issued lot of guidance available in public domain as well.
Okay.
So the challenge is to what extent we would be able to digest and to what extent we would be able to implement to our clients and our scenarios. So that's
Right.
all we can relook.
Sure, sir. So if you come across any generic checklist, do share it with
Sure, sure.
us so that we could rely on something which has come from the good auditor rather
Yeah,
than relying on a public domain information.
yeah,
Sure,
yeah,
sir. Please
sure,
go
sure.
ahead. Thank you.
Yeah. So now let's come to other information in the documents which are containing the financial statement. So like the from the last year when the audit report format is changed, as an auditor we need to report on other informations containing along with the financial statement, like directors report, management discussion analysis, corporate governance report. We need to go and look and report on that as well in our audit report. The reporting is restricted only to the extent of any information which is there in the financial statement may be reported differently in the director's report. So what as an auditor need to do under COVID-19? Three aspects: risk assessment, management discussion, analysis, and notes to the financial statement. So in the risk assessment, entity should elaborate on existing reporting risk and calamities relating to COVID-19 that the board should report in their annual report. Management discussion analysis should also include current and potential impact on the entity's operations, its financial condition. Maybe the entity is exporting primarily to countries like Italy. It may have a significant impact on its business. So under that scenario, if it is dependent on particular territory which is impacted due to COVID-19, detailed disclosure required. Apart from that, notes to the financial statements. So specific disclosures on subsequent events, accounting standards, and any other specific account or specific disclosures that we need to give. As an auditor, we need to see that whatever disclosure made into the financial statement and what information that we have relied on to conclude our audit opinion should be aligned in management discussion analysis as well as everywhere in the director's report as well. So all pages should be aligned in that circumstances, and based on that we need to opine in our audit report. Now let's look into auditor's responsibility related to fraud. So SA 240 deals with the responsibility relating to fraud. Obviously, COVID-19 has a big impact as we have seen in a lot of aspects. We as an auditor need to see that under COVID-19, is there any additional pressure on the management to meet the performance targets or market expectations? Because this will raise the risk of likelihood of the fraud into the financial statements. If there are if the management's performance or key personnel salaries or commission are dependent upon particular target, then we go and need to relook at our risk assessment under SA 240. We need to apply professional skepticism while performing our audit procedures to eliminate the possibility of fraud or material error into the financial statements. So under COVID-19, we need to revisit any pressure performance on the management, because it is apart from the COVID-19, it is coming as a cutoff period. So let's say a lot of targets are determined by the management for the financial year specific. So some targets are missing. It may be possible that they'll pass some entries which are ghost or suspense entries. So we as an auditor need to go and verify if there is a pressure on the management to achieve those performance targets or not. Now let's look into some of the internal control considerations. So most of the companies in India now we need to report on internal financial control over financial reporting as well. So COVID-19 has impact on Indian businesses from let's say 15th of March. A partial lockdown started in couple of state and balance state from 22nd or 24th of March, so on and so forth. So under these circumstances, company may need to implement new controls. It may be possible that in this last week or 15 days, management may have placed new controls to run their businesses. We as an auditor need to go and understand whether new controls are implemented by the management or not. And under that circumstances, we need to perform additional testing over those controls. We need to go and check whether those controls are operating effectively or not. If those controls are not operating effectively and the transaction happened, we need to go and identify if there are any compensating alternate controls available. We also need to see whether under this lockdown scenario company is able to close its financial reporting process in time or not, and company's overall design and implement control related to applicable general accounting principles, whether they are able to determine that or not. So in nutshell, it may be possible that under lockdown period, management has changed various controls into their organization. Because of lockdown, some of the employees may have access to accounting system, some of the employees may not have access to accounting system. So under that scenario, whether they have changed any access right to the accounting system or not, that's what we need to go and verify. Whether any change in standard operating procedures, change in any approval mechanism that the company is having, if those are happened, we as an auditor need to go and verify those. So to verify this, we need to understand whether in last 15-20 days if there are any events happen or what are the changes in the controls that management has made, and also perform testing during that period specifically to understand whether those controls are operating effectively or not. While issuing an internal financial report opinion, we also identify the new risk, right? Because of lockdown, a lot of employees are accessing server remotely. What could be the security principles that company has implemented? What could be the cyber security as a risk, that whether the company has identified that as a risk or not? Whether there could be any reporting implications, whether management has designed any impact assess control impact on the COVID-19. What could be the documentation that management is having under this scenario, and whether there are any alternative operating procedures under lockdown period. All this will help us in providing our internal financial reporting opinion correctly. And we also need to see whether there are any risk of frauds or errors or any misstatement into the financial statements. So this is what I have explained on overall impact on various auditing standards and internal financial controls opinion. Now let's move on to overall conclusion. So if while we see the role of the auditor in the time like this is will be more scrutinized, that would be more focused on the auditor in this challenging time, because there would be public interest involved. We as an auditor needs to opine on true and fairness of the financial statements. So uh, we need to be more robust in performing our audit procedure. Wherever required, we need to modify our opinion. Significant modification under COVID-19 circumstances required in a lot of financial statement. We also need to have a high degree of professional skepticism, like what we have discussed in obtaining confirmations or relying on the email as a confirmation, whether the other party is authorized to send that email or not. That also we need to see. We also need to see apply professional skepticisms in the area like access controls. That's what we have discussed. So a lot of aspects that goes on while determining the or while assessing the overall audit impact on COVID-19. Irrespective of these challenges and uncertainties, there should not be any dilution in any of the our audit procedures. So under these circumstances, we need to be more sure and more focused on our audit procedures, which will enable us to perform our audit procedure in the best manner. So now we can go to any questions that any of you have. We can pass through questions.
Right, sir. Thank you for quite an interesting and session. I'm sure audit as a subject is always dry and could be boring, but
Yeah.
the patience is what is all required to understand each and everything. And while we are it, people will realize whatever that you've said, and they will connect the dots. Then once you start experiencing this and once you start practicing this, so this presentation would be really helpful in that sense. But yes, thank you for doing a very it's quite justified and a very good job in terms of trying and explaining everyone in terms of how can things be, what can you expect things to be in what shape, and how do we counter them using various tools and various other checklists and good questionnaires to come to a real good conclusion for audits.
Yes.
Right, Mishra ji, can we throw up the questions that we have received? So one of the question that I have received is for regarding a
सर
gym.
क्वेश्चन आया नहीं है, अर्पित सर क्वेश्चन आया
अच्छा,
नहीं, एक एक आ रहा है, मैं भेज रहा हूँ सर.
हाँ ठीक है, no problem, you can put it up. I request all the
I have a
participants.
couple of so for the
Yes,
larger audience, I have few questions drafted in
so
this
please take
next
them up.
slide. So I can just put
Yes.
that on the slide.
So one question that I've just received is the audit, the client is a gymnasium. So what has happened
Hmm.
is due to the public pressure, members, due to this 15 days lockdown, so every membership that would have expired in March they have requested that this be extended. So I have to the gym has to then provide this membership extra for 15 days. So how should we make a provision for that, sir? I mean, that's an exceptional item, or what? How should we treat
Yeah,
that?
so
How to account?
that is, yeah, so that whether that's the exceptional item or not, obviously it depends on the quantum of that 15 days. To my view, wherever those kind of events happen, uh, or let's say in last 15 days company is incurring the fixed cost. It is kind of an example where manufacturing entity is locked down from 15th of March to 31st of March. So in those period, whatever cost is incurred, that should not be loaded onto the inventory.
Oh,
Likewise, that is to be charged to PNL. So under that circumstances as well, whatever the additional benefit that the company has given, that cost that the company should charge to PNL, whatever
okay. So
additional
therefore,
15
this
days.
15 days, so this 15 days thing, we should immediately charge it to PNL, saying
Yes,
that
yes, yes.
this is a normal operating loss.
Yeah, it's a normal operating loss that the company has to book. So if you see the
Okay.
institute guidance, it covers the example of inventory what I've explained. So if my
Hmm.
normal if I'm not able to utilize my capacity due to COVID-19, I have to charge it off. I cannot load it to the inventory.
Okay. Okay. Right, sir. So you can take your questions first. In the meanwhile, we are compiling the questions that we received so that
Yeah. So it is there on the screen.
Sir, apart from
Whether
this, you can take your questions first, the ones that you have for the larger audience.
yeah, that's what I
Or
have placed on the
yeah.
screen. So if
Yes,
you
sir.
any we can start one by one. So is it
Mishra
kind
ji,
of
if you
poll that
can
is
keep
taking
that
place?
screen. Mishra ji, can please show the speaker screen as of now. नहीं, ये आपका स्क्रीन नहीं, सर का स्क्रीन दिखाओ, उधर भी क्वेश्चंस है स्लाइड में. So you can show your PPT now. Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry. So this is visible questions. So if you want to take a poll, we can go if that's possible in this scenario. We can do that. I'll say. So the question is whether we are required to perform additional audit procedures in case we are not able to attend physical inventory count as at 31st of March. So uh, answer to this is yes. As an auditor, we are supposed to perform additional audit procedures. It maybe will perform the count once the lockdown is lifted and do some rollback procedures. Else, what we can do is we can just rely on the management cycle count if we have attended those cycle count during the course of our audit or during the year where the cycle count happened within the company. So in those circumstances, we can rely. There would be some alternative audit procedures also that we can perform, like subsequent purchase sale, which is happening. Obviously, it would be very difficult if the client is signed off within few days of the lockdown period, because there would not be any movement in the lockdown, and if you need to report immediately after the lockdown, it would be very difficult. So performing physical count post lockdown is the feasible option, and doing some rollback procedures.
So this is an interesting question, and during audits, we'll be exposed or we'll be exploited rather with a lot of heavy emotional dramas in terms of, sir,
Yeah.
this has happened, that has happened. As an auditor, what in this scenario there is a two-way. One is a practical approach, other is a humanitarian approach, which
Hmm.
may be a big showdown for us in our professional capacity. So how
Hmm.
should we, as an auditor, how should we take a call here?
So ultimately, it's our opinion that is getting impacted, right? My signing would be there into the financial statement, not the lower management who is showing this emotional connect. Obviously, we understand those emotions, now, but there is no leeway in any of the audit procedure by any of the regulator. So some procedures which we are supposed to perform, we have to perform. We don't have a choice under those scenarios. Obviously, in this such type of challenging time, we can seek some of the innovative audit procedure like performing a physical count through video recording. So that is
Mm.
also an option which can be explored, or a performing inventory count through live screening. So those type of procedures can also be explored. Though those are challenging in terms of considering authenticity of the video recording, and there are no cuts happened in between and all. But we can explore those different situations if we want to do some different innovative procedures. But we can't leave away with any of the audit procedure.
So we should catch them by surprise, is what you're saying. Rather than
Yeah.
relying plainly on their representation, we should try and do
Yes.
something. Right, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second question you have is whether we can rely on scanned evidences in current scenario.
So under this scenario, obviously we can rely on the scan copies. However, what is the audit? What we as an auditor needs to do once the lockdown is lifted, we can go and verify originals and match those original with the scanned versions. So it may be possible that management has implemented scan as a control in their framework, and they are scanning everything. So if there is a control is already placed by the management, we can rely on that control and depend, and if that control is operating effectively throughout the year, we can rely on the scan evidences. And if that control is not implemented, obviously we need to go and verify some of the originals as well to match that with the scanned versions. Any questions in this? Go to next.
No, sir, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Whether the impact of COVID-19 is mandatorily required to be reported as a key audit matter under 701. So, to my view, it is not a mandatory requirement to report into 701. It depends on the client specific circumstances. 701 currently applicable mandatorily on listed entities, others are voluntary. So, you need to assess whether the COVID-19, how to what extent it has changed your audit procedure, or to what extent your audit procedures increased, and based on that you can assess the implication for reporting under 701.
Sir, I think today, today, what I've got a news or what I've heard is, there is a soon there will be a guidance note that will be published by ICI on this on this reporting requirement and all of this. Also, RBI Governor Shaktikant Das in today's address to the nation has mentioned that for NBFCs, so people who are working for NBFCs, for them there could be some relaxation and that would be notified by ICI shortly. So I think even these two things are in the pipeline, and we should expect them very soon.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to NBFCs, I think there'll be a lot of erosion that they would have come through, and probably
Yes.
uh, their requirements of reporting it to banks, maybe stock statements or monthly data statements, all that wouldn't have happened also.
Yes.
Uh, and the moratorium period, because these amount the NBFCs that have to they're heavily leveraged, and they have to pay a huge amount to the banks as every month. So I think there'll be a huge implication in their books of accounts. So NBFCs
Yeah.
is a particular sector which may break or may take everything to the cleaner. So yes, I think it will
Yes.
be a very crucial thing.
Yeah.
So
Let's
we are
see to
expecting
what
a guidance note
extent
on that.
they will help as an auditor fraternity. So let's hope
Yes,
for the best.
correct, right. That's all.
So next is on any additional audit procedure required to be performed where confirmation received by email or scan copies, where we may not be in a position to receive the hard copy of the confirmations. So yes, we have to perform additional procedure to have an authenticity of the confirmation received. So we can go and cross check the name of the person who has signed, whether that is authorized to sign or not. We do some of the calling procedures as well. Maybe we can call them and understand whether the documents are signed by them and they are authorized personnel or not while issuing the confirmations. Next one is on whether alternative means of accessing work papers of the component can be implemented. Yes, as we have discussed, if we are accessing the component audit of work paper, in those scenario we can have alternative means like WebEx or any kind of screen sharing alternative modes we can implement because we can't travel to those territories. So in those scenario we can use that as one of the audit procedure. Last question from my end is that whether current condition change our reporting responsibilities to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidences under access or other relevant auditing standard. So strictly no, there are no changes in any of the auditing standard. So for till date, relaxation is only given for deferment of CARO. Apart from that, there are no relaxation given in any of the audit procedure by any of the regulator. So whatever written in ISA or standards on auditing, we have to perform. There are no leeways to it.
Right, sir.
Yeah, we
Really
can take
relevant
further
questions
questions.
actually.
Yeah,
Now, can we, Amisha ji, can you please post our questions that we received from the audience?
yeah.
So we've got some questions.
Yeah.
The first one is we have an experience with the company that it does not maintain the inventory in a proper verification as on December 19. However, due to no reward from the company, we have not performed the verification. So we don't have the history. So what should we do in this scenario, sir?
So we were to perform inventory as of December 19. However, due to no reward from the company, we have not performed the verification. So under that scenario, you just go and perform the inventory count once the lockdown is lifted. Perform rollback procedures because if your client is not under essential services, there would not be any movement in this lockdown period. So whatever inventory you are finding after the
Hmm.
lockdown, that is the only inventory that you can conclude as at 31st
So
March.
rollback procedures, as in you are saying discount the purchase and sales that have been made and therefore, right?
Yes, 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 yes. So if
The
it is
standard
under
procedures that
non-essential
we.
services,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah. So if it is non-essential services, there would not be any movement in the month of April, right? So whatever inventories you
True.
immediately verify after lockdown, that's the inventory as of
Hmm.
31st March.
So, but there is a question on the intention of the promoter also here, or the company management
Yeah.
also. See, because if they have not helped you to do a December 19 verification, and should we then therefore rely on their management representation?
No,
Because
for
you
inventory
mentioned.
count, we should not. If the intent is to defer the count, which is happening as at the year end or period end, obviously
Hmm.
we need to consider that. And if we are not comfortable for that, we need to consider our reporting implication or modify our opinion as the case may be. If we
Okay.
are not comfortable with the existence of the.
Hmm. I think the next question is now for March 2020, how do we go for it? I think through maybe video or something, right? Or maybe post lockdown visit them.
Yeah. That's the best way to go for inventory count.
Sir, also this brings to a very good observation as to once as an auditor, if you were to go and visit these places, we should really, I think since the threat of COVID is not absolutely zero, we should be
Yeah.
very careful in terms of how do we go, and we should be very, keep that hygiene factor in mind. And if that is
Of
not
course,
happening, we
of
should
course.
avoid attending also visiting those places. What I
So
understand.
first and foremost is the health and safety of the people. So if it is
Hmm.
happening, then only we should plan for inventory verification. If it is not happening, then we should not. Health and safety is
Right.
obviously the first topmost priority.
So very important, relevant question. Will you share your PPT with us?
Yeah, I think it's already shared. I have
Shared,
shared
right,
before. You
right, sir.
can circulate it.
The next question I've already asked. I think they've just
Yeah,
repeated once again.
yeah.
Then can we have the material of this? Yes, okay. Many company made donation in COVID-19 pandemic. So is there any changes made in reporting aspect? Example, talking about rules under CSR.
So I think COVID-19 pandemic contribution is already covered under CSR. So there are FAQs which are published by MCA which can be
Hmm.
referred for that. It's already published in the public domain. So,
True.
and of course,
Only one thing is, I think state government contributions are not covered under CSR, is
yeah,
what
yeah.
I've
So
recently. So only the PM Care
exactly.
Fund is to be
PM
covered
Care
under
Fund
CSR.
is covered. Yes.
In order to value the inventory on the cost or NRV, whichever is lower, now due to lockdown, we won't be able to get NRV as on March 31st. How do we compare with? Very relevant question, sir.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very relevant question. So, the challenge is that you need to understand the business of the company first, and understand whether this lockdown or change in the scenario due to COVID-19 impact the overall company's business or not. You can compare the
Hmm.
other product, like for example, if the company is into AC manufacturing, right? So it may be
Hmm.
possible that due to lockdown, they are won't be able to sell any inventory, and
Right.
March or April is the peak period for them to sell the
Hmm.
inventory. So under that scenario, you can just go and check whether any competitors what they are doing, how the overall business assessment you are forcing from the management perspective as well, whether you are forcing any downturn in next few months for the particular
Hmm.
item, and companies intend to sell it off at a lower cost, or they want to keep in their books and sell it at a price at which they wanted to keep. So
Oh.
all circumstances need to be examined before conclusion of NRV. Obviously, this is most important stuff. Inventory, its net realizable value, cash flows. Those are the key consideration under COVID-19.
I'll just like to share an example, sir.
Yeah.
Just last week we were having a discussion with one of the CFOs of a textile company, a big brand. He mentioned that, since liquidity is very important for us in the business, the post lockdown, the one thing that I would want to do is sell off all my inventory, all of my stock at whatever value, be it 60% discount, be it 80% through online and through shelf over everywhere. So,
Okay.
when you see something like this happening, the CFO himself says that, we need liquidity very soon, because bankers are not able to, will not be funding us very appropriately, and our DP calculations won't stand.
And its
So,
cost is also involved. So even if they will defer their
yes,
repayments, term loans, the cost is also involved
mm,
to that.
interest is being carried out, right? Interest
Yeah, yeah,
is,
yeah.
the meter
Interest
is
is
still
already
going
there.
on. So,
Hmm.
therefore, therefore this becomes a very important thing to be tackled, the NRV or the cost. If it is below
Hmm.
cost, it will be a big loss actually, but
Yeah,
has to be
yeah.
recognized as. So
Yes,
this
it has
loss,
to be
whether that would
recognized.
be an exceptional loss, or is it?
So it
What do you
depends
say?
on the quantum again. So if you need
Okay.
to see what is the total size of the inventory, and if it's significant inventory is getting eroded, then obviously it's a
Hmm.
big number that we are looking into.
Okay. How about balance confirmations by bank on email? Can we rely on the confirmation?
We can rely on email or scan copies of the confirmation. There are some additional procedures prescribed under standards on auditing. So that's what we
Okay.
need to perform, like calling the bank and confirming whether the email sent by appropriate personnel or not, and all. So that additional procedure,
Hmm.
if we are performing, then we can rely.
Oh, this is a fantastic insight. While we were talking on the first question on the inventory and the intention of the management,
Hmm.
previous year, these people have already qualified report with respect to
Hmm.
inventory valuation and verification. Current year, we
Okay.
have been informed that the inventory is correctly valued and verified. Due to COVID-19, can we rely on management? So they are taking advantage of this COVID situation to get
Hmm.
away from the qualification.
Yeah.
And sir, this is
So
going to happen as we talked about that emotional backlash, and
yeah,
all
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
pleads and measures to make sure that auditor is helpless and rely on management. But should we really do that?
So, to my view is that obviously we need to go and perform physical inventory count to satisfy ourselves. If we are not comfortable, means not comfortable. We can't give
Hmm.
incorrect view on this.
And given there is a history of qualification in respect to
Yeah, yeah.
inventory
We
valuation,
should be more
so
robust
more
in
the
those
reason.
scenarios. So, if
I think more the
it will
reason
create
to.
more suspicion, yeah, yeah, yeah. It will create more suspicious on the management's intent on the inventory.
Perfect. All right. So these were the questions that we had. So I think a great session, good interaction with you, and I'm
Yeah.
sure with your help and the material that you shared, all of us would, in fact, the students would help their respective principal and their offices to carry out audits much more effectively.
Sure.
Thank you for your time today. I request now Vikasa member Dania Supariwala, who's with us, to please uh, present her vote of thanks for the session.
Good afternoon, friends. I would like to thank Hirak sir for your valuable inputs. This is going to help us in the given situation, which is really a need of the hour. And we are looking forward to many such informative sessions with you, sir. I would also like to thank Arpit sir, WIRC Chairman Lalit Bajaj sir, Vikasa Chairman Hitesh Komal sir, and other WIRC office bearers to make this possible. And I would like to mention that it is due to the guidelines received from ICAI that we have shifted our webinar timings from 2 p.m. to 11 a.m. so that we students can derive maximum benefit out of it and we don't miss out on any information and inputs which are going to help us in our lives. And yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Dania. I think Vikasa people are really working very hard to ensure that these trainings for across the panel, across the students, irrespective of geography, is being done in a very effective manner. I also want to bring on record appreciation and thanks for the WRC chairman and the entire team who's been supportive. Given that we've got very strict guidelines from ICI in terms of arranging these webinars, but ICI has taken a very view on students training, and that is helpful for all of us. And therefore, we are ensuring that every day we do it at 11 to 12:30. All these sessions for students at least because they are the most important. And also, I would like to, sir, we just got a feedback that we've attended various other auditing sessions, but today's session has been really very lucid and very effective in terms of what practically what should we do and how should we take it off. So thank you for that. Thank you everyone for your time. We'll see you tomorrow. We have a very interesting session tomorrow lined up on tricks and tips, tricks and tips for audit using Tally. We're gonna have a very interesting session tomorrow again, 11 to 12:30. Very practical and hands-on session. So hope to see all of you there. Please spread the word to your friends and make as many students as possible who can attend this session. Thank you, Hirak sir. Thank you, Mishra ji.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much, Arpit.
Rora ji.
So
Yes, sir.
it was
And
my
thank you.
just a couple of remarks. It was my pleasure to conduct this session, and I'm
Right, sir.
really happy that ICI and WARC is taking this initiative for students as well as members carrying out this type of sessions under this difficult time zone. Thank you so much, Arpit, and entire team
Please
of.
convey regards to Piyush sir. I think because
Yeah,
of him, we could
sure.
construct this session very
Yeah,
effectively.
yeah, of course.
So I would want to place appreciation for him and the entire team of PwC on this record. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
एक मिनट